Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. In this session, we briefly want to speak to the difference between Fadila and Sunnah. Fadila is that action which, if abandoned in the case of Salah, does not necessitate sajda sahu. Sajda sahu is the opposite of what generating a rak'ah. It just means that after you perform your Salah, after your Salah is finished, you want to make up for a deficiency, right? And in the case of the Salah, in this case that we're talking about now, a deficiency will be to leave out that action which is termed as Sunnah, not an action which is termed as Fadila. So then the sajda sahu is that you make two prostrations, not that you perform a whole rak'ah. That action which is fard cannot be corrected with sajda sahu. It can't be corrected with sajda sahu. Any action which is obligatory has to be brought about in the salah. Then if you made a mistake, for instance, if you forgot to perform ruku' and then you made a whole new rak'at in order to make up for the fact that you forgot to perform ruku', then you make sajda sahu as a way to bring completion to the salah. But sajda sahu in this case can't compensate for the action that you left out. Any obligatory action in the salah has to be performed, or else your salah is invalid. If you perform sajda sahu for an act which is deemed fadila in the Maliki madhab, it invalidates your salah. Why? Because you added to the salah. You added to the salah without reason. So the action which is sunnah, if it's left out in the salah, it demands of you sajda sahu. Why? Because you left something out of the salah which you should have brought to the salah. But that command is less than obligatory. So then in this case, you can make up for the deficiency by sajda sahu. So that's the difference between sunnah and fadila. Sunnah, when left out in the salah, requires sajda sahu. Fadila doesn't, right? So it's of a lesser category of the action which is recommended. So then sunnah comes in between that which is wajib and that which is mandub, because fadila, it comes close to being mandub in meaning. And the leaving out of the sunnah in some narrations on Malik is an act which is sinful. We should not leave it out those acts which are deemed sunnah in the salah. Now remember, the way that we're using the term sunnah here is pertaining to fiqh. So it's a little different than using the term sunnah as understood by the scholars of hadith. And for more on that, you would have to do some research. The scholars of hadith look at the term sunnah differently than the scholars of fiqh. The scholars of fiqh look at it as an act that was performed with frequency by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the opposite of that which is obligated. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم الحمد لله رب العالمين.